Merry Christmas, everyone. It's a great privilege to join you on this special Christmas day. Every one of us at Eden is praying that you have a wonderful day. This past year has been quite bewildering at times, hasn't it? None more so, I think, than politically so. I mean, for starters, we have had 3 prime ministers in 2022 alone. We started with Boris Johnson, love him or loathe him. We then had Liz Truss for like half an hour or whatever it was, and now we have Richie. So it's been a tumultuous year in many, many ways. Many of us are still trying to come to terms with a post-COVID world, although COVID is still present, sadly. And I guess I've been pondering this. I've been pondering the vitriol that the government has taken. I don't think it's been more than it is right now in many ways. You know, rightly or wrongly, we tend to aim the majority of our frustration at whoever is in power at the time. And so it got me thinking, what if we had a new political group, a whole new government who were flipping awesome? And this group based their thinking, their philosophy on things like inclusivity. So there was no discrimination at all. There was no racism, no homophobia, no sexism, nothing. And imagine they had a political leader who was all about love and kindness. Someone who believed in a power that wasn't about controlling and coercion to get what you needed, but someone who equipped and empowered other people. Wow. And imagine this group were anti-slavery, anti-war, anti-ego, anti-greed. That's a big one, isn't it? And they discussed things and debated things over food rather than fighting. A group who wanted a kind of utopic society where everyone was looked after and the poor were provided for. And not just with handouts, I think that's important, but restored with their dignity intact, as well as their finances now mended. What if this group believed in restorative justice rather than retributive justice? So where those who have done wrong or are broken, they aren't shamed to change, which bears little result, but actually they're loved to change and they're restored to be who they were meant to be. What if this group who generously encouraged by example to help the poor around them, to help those who couldn't help themselves? What if this group were actually for political reform, and where it didn't actually matter what class you had or what accent you had or what your upbringing was at all, because you weren't judged for anything other than what made you you and the quality of who you were on the inside, not just the outside. What if they had a leader who didn't make decisions based on what would get them re-elected, but actually who would focus on making the right decisions at the right time for the benefit of all, not just themselves? For me, and I think maybe for many of you, watching a party like that with a leader like that, that's the kind of political system, the government that I could get behind, right? And that leads me to this amazing verse in the scriptures, one we post on the front door of our church every Christmas. It's a prophecy about the birth of Jesus, and it's written about 700 years before Jesus was even born, which is crazy awesome. And it's one thing that always gets me thinking, and it's Isaiah 9, and we're going to read from verse 6. It says this: "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. And his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." And I think the thing that captures my imagination about this verse is the truth that the government shall be upon his shoulder. But it's not talking about taking over our current corrupt government systems that we've inherited. No, he's talking about a whole new revolution, a whole new government system, a government of heaven coming to earth into every fabric of society, a kingdom based on love, one that will change our current systems from the inside out. You see, even at the time of Jesus, right, he had to be born in Bethlehem purely because the superpower at the time decided they wanted to raise the taxes, so it was sign up, to a census and then pay up to whoever was in charge, Caesar at the time. See, I'm not ultimately convinced our world's much different than that, even here in the UK where we're based. But this baby Jesus was going to grow up, and he did. And he established a whole new government system. He actually established a whole new way of living. Jesus isn't simply another emperor or politician. He's not about playing the political games that we see. Instead, he is someone who wants to tackle poverty, shame, hopelessness, cruelty, warfare. Someone that wants to tackle elite corporate systems which make everyone poorer on the inside and the outside. And so Isaiah here in our scripture, he's declaring that at Christmas, we remember God through Jesus wants to start a new government with a new justice system, with a new economic system, with a new welfare system. And not only that, but he reveals a new way to be human, a new way to see the world, a new way to lead, a new way to govern. And his party is called Heaven to Earth. And so what he does is he heals the sick, he serves the poor, he feeds the hungry. He confronts the religious system of its day and tells them to get off their flipping high horse and love their neighbor. And so you may have heard, right, that Jesus died to cleanse your soul on that cross. The sinless, perfect Jesus, taking all your rubbish so you could be reborn and made new. And that is the coolest present at Christmas you will ever have. That you just got to call on his name and believe he is who he says he is. He loves you so much. And you may also have heard that Jesus didn't just die, but he rose again, defeating death. What? Defeating death. To restore you to your loving Father in heaven right here, right now. Not just for eternity, right here, right now. And all of that is flipping awesome, right? But what you may not have heard about the Christmas story, about Jesus, is also the fact that Jesus came to recruit you and I to a whole new way of being human. A new government where we tackle and alleviate sickness, and poverty and hopelessness, greed, and greedy elite corporate structures. And we lead and we live in the way of love. And so I ask you this Christmas Day, I ask you this, is that a world you want to partner with him to bring about? In your workplaces, your homes, your streets, amongst your family, in your volunteering, wherever you happen to be. And for me, that's Christmas. It's the start of a new revolution, a new way to everything in the way of Jesus. And so I ask you, do you want to join in? What does that look like for you right here, right now in your world? I'll leave you with that as we head into the new year. Merry Christmas. Never forget you are deeply loved. And as I've just shared, you have immense purpose and power to change this world in and through Jesus who loves you very, very much. God bless you. Have a great rest of your Christmas day.